Judgment Day for the New York Enforcers and the California Quakes has arrived. The Enforcers have swept through this league, leaving nothing but carnage in their wake.
All year long, the Enforcers have done whatever it takes to win, and tonight is no different. We want the Founders Cup on our mantle.
But the California sun is burning red hot after surviving a non-stop season of hardships and landing themselves in the WSL's championship game.
We're proving we're the best in the West, and tonight we're going to be champions of the World Skating League. Oh, daddy!
The Founders Cup is within their reach, but only one team will survive.
Tonight, we will crush the Quakes once and for all and win the Founders Cup.
Call the Undertaker. It's the New York Enforcers taking on the California Quakes in the Founders Cup championship game. Next on Roller Chair.
Universal Studios Escape. This is the World Skating League. Tonight, it's the Founders Cup Championship. Welcome, everyone, to Roller Jam Arena. I'm Ken Resnick, along with Rehereman and roller derby legend Buddy Atkinson Jr. It's all on the line. The New York Enforcers against the California Quakes. Up for grab, the coveted Founders Cup. Hawk for both these teams, the Enforcers, the Quakes. There is no tomorrow.
Ken, this is what it's all about. We talk about everything being on the line. We talk about losers going home. We also talk about the Bod Squad, Sisters of Suffering, Sean Atkinson versus Mark D'Amato, Denise Loden of the Sundogs, who's not here. We talk about everybody in the World Skating League. It all comes to tonight, but throw all that out the window because it's the Eastern Conference champion Enforcers versus the Western Conference champion Quakes. Sean Atkinson leads the Quakes. Mark D'Amato leads the Enforcers. All you need to know, don't go anywhere.
It was 31 years ago that the Founders Cup first came into being. Today, the saga continues. For more on the history of the Cup, Broadway Danny Wolf is standing by with WSL Commissioner Jerry Seltzer.
I'm joined by the esteemed Commissioner of the World Skating League, Jerry Seltzer. Jerry, you're holding this beautiful trophy, the Leo Seltzer Founders Cup. Tell the fans about the history of this tremendous trophy.
The first Founders Cup was back in 1968. It marks this point in the season, and generally the winner of the Founders Cup is the favorite for the World Championship.
And I don't envy you. You're going to be sitting in the crowd holding this trophy. Now, don't drop it, Jerry. And then presenting it to either the Enforcers or the Quakes, the winner when the game is over.
I look forward to presenting it to the worthy champion of the Founders Cup.
Thank you, Jerry. Let's get it on. Let's go to you, Ken.
You can well imagine neither the Quakes or the Enforcers will leave anything left on the track going after the Founders Cup. Buddy, we've talked about Mark D'Amato and Sean Atkinson being the key matchup in this one. Of that, there is no question. But both these skaters uniquely have a tie to the old roller derby, the beginning of the Founders Cup in the WSL.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you something, these guys want it so bad because this is the first time that they're going to get the opportunity, and they've watched Founder Cup before. This is their first opportunity to participate, and I'll tell you, they want it. Both of them want it, and they want it bad. This means something to this group of people.
There is no question, unfortunately, only one of the two will come away with the Founders Cup. Without further ado, let's find out who it's going to be and get the Founders Cup Championship underway. This is the one everybody's been waiting for. As out come the California Quakes. The Founders Cup, believe you me, nothing will be left on the track when this one is over.
Ken, the intensity is something you can cut through with a sledgehammer right now. It's unbelievable.
The Bod Squad is ready, and now, here come the New York Enforcers. The question is going to be who will win out, the speed, the finesse of the California Quakes, or the physical domination of the Enforcers.
And the intensity in the faces of these Enforcers right now, Ken, is flat out frightening.
1, 2, 3, go, Quakes! And starting for the California Quakes, jamming Stacey, Blitsch, and Jaime Conemac. Blocking Brooke, Sunderman, Faith Ehrman, and a surprise blocker, Amy Craig. For the New York Enforcers, the jammers Karen Magnussen and Heather Gunnin. blocking Jannet Abraham, Linda Leisure, and Bowman. There you see the crowd here at Roller Jam Arena on their feet as we're awaiting the start of this Founders Cup Championship. And we are underway. It's Karen Magnussen breaking out for the New York Enforcers with Malibu Stacey Blitsch. Magnussen and the entire New York Enforcer team as Stacey Blitsch puts down Magnussen will certainly have to dig down. The Enforcers at a big disadvantage. Last minute, Chellie Rossell out with a kidney injury will not be skating, and she as of late has been the go-to gal of the New York Enforcers. And now it's Stacey Blitsch all on her own as she comes around. Heather Gunnin, the speedster, got bottled up in the pack and never did get out. Stacey Blitsch now closing on the triple block set up by Abraham, Leisure, and Karen Magnussen. Blitsch having no success whatsoever coming through this triple block, calling for her teammates' help. Her teammates not seeing what's going on, and the rest of the Enforcers doing a good job of keeping the Quakes bottled up at the front of the pack. Great strategy by the New York Enforcer women as we're under 10 seconds. Stacey Blitsch trying to figure out, having no success, tries to go low, tries to go inside, and a great triple blockade set up by the Sisters of Suffering. No points on this first jam, but looked to be a golden opportunity for Stacey Blitsch and the Quakes.
Already the tone is being set by the Sisters of Suffering. Low scoring with Chellie Rossell being out. That's even more important for them to keep it low scoring and physical, Ken.
Now some obvious strategy by the California Quakes, realizing they certainly can't play physical with the Enforcers. They turn to their speedster, Amy Criag out of Fairhope, Alabama. Criag gets tangled up on the infield. Heather Gunnin now the lead jammer. Gunnin, the quickest skater for the New York Enforcers, most definitely with Chellie Rossell out. Here comes Amy Criag, the Alabama slammer, trying to catch up to Gunnin. A full 35 seconds still remaining in this jam as they too close on the pack. Gunnin seems to be coasting. Remember, Gunnin suffered a very severe hamstring injury. Hasn't quite been 100% ever since. Criag is able to catch up. The rotation in the pack, obvious. Jannet Abraham, the best blockout blocker in the league, drops back. Amy Criag uses the speed to go right around Jannet Abraham. Cuts off the jam, so trivia buffs credit Amy Criag with the first point in this Founders Cup Championship as Heather Gunnin in disgust throws her helmet at Jannet Abraham. The tension, the frustration very evident early on. With a low-scoring 1-0 Founders Cup Championship. We'll be back with more right after this. It is 1-0 California Quakes over the Enforcers in this Founders Cup Championship game. Broadway Danny Wolf is standing by trackside with Big Tim Washington.
The reason the Enforcers are here, basically, Tim, is because of your 7-point jam against the Sundogs. What do you guys need to do today to win this cup?
We're going to bring the heat to these guys today. We're going to dominate them. In the first period, we skate against them. And, you guys know what happens when we do that.
You guys keep the game low scoring, which I think that's a strategy today. That usually works to your advantage.
It plays to our advantage because all the big kills and all the big hits is what we're going to do to them.
Good luck, Tim.
Thank you.
Certainly nobody can argue when the Enforcer Tim men, Mark D'Amato, Tim Washington and company turn it on. It gets very ugly for their opposing teams. Now Jaime Conemac breaks free for the California Quakes, being pursued by Eydie Bowman. Remember again, the Enforcers looking for a combination that's going to work. They are seriously hampered with Chellie Rossell being out with a kidney injury, and there you see Bowman drop Heather Sunderman, but Jaime Conemac already closing on the pack, being called up by her teammate, fellow bod squatter, Stacey Blitsch. They talk some strategy. You see Magnussen and Linda Leisure set up a double block, and a fake whip. Jaime Conemac uses Stacey Blitsch from behind to take out both the Enforcer women. Great strategy by the two bod squatters, putting 2 more points on the board, and over halfway through the first period, the Quakes are pitching a shutout.
Well, Jaime Conemac did not play well at all in that semifinal game, Ken, in the Western Conference Championship to get here to the Founders Cup, and she has promised her Quake teammates she'd put it together and not have a repeat of that conference championship.
And now the New York Enforcers again are going to their speedster, Heather Gunnin, to try and break this shutout to get some points on the board. And very quickly, Amy Criag comes out. Criag earlier put Gunnin down and picked up the first point of this matchup. And Heather Gunnin certainly looking for some retribution. Gunnin very proud of her speed. Did not like being showed up by Amy Criag out of Alabama. It is Criag and Gunnin again. Smart move by Amy Criag as she uses the elbow to try and send Gunnin high and certainly slowed her down. Criag holding up one finger, obviously calling for a play. Oh, and the Quakes try to lift, and it backfired as Amy Craig ran in to Faith Urban. Heather Gunnin went by and picked up 4 New York Enforcer points as Amy Craig is going right after Heather Gunnin. Craig beside herself, that strategy backfired, and now it's Craig and Gunnin going toe-to-toe. Referees trying to separate them. Now Gunnin being more the aggressive, landing on top, and finally the referees separated, but you can feel the tension. You can see the tension on Amy Craig being so frustrated in what she thought was a perfectly orchestrated lift, backfiring, giving the New York Enforcers the lead 4-3. A golden opportunity now as the track opens up for one team or the other. Both Amy Craig and Heather Gunnin in the penalty box. You see Amy Craig with a smile on her face, feeling she got the best of Gunnin in the altercation. It's now 4-on-4. Very close. This is the kind of low-scoring game the Enforcer women want. A lot of people talked about once Chellie Rossell was out that the Enforcers would be forced to turn to Linda Leisure. That's what they are doing right now. Leisure number 38 for the Enforcers, but she goes down courtesy of Heather Sunderman. The California Quake women, it seems, said to themselves they are not going to let the Enforcers get the better of them physically. Certainly Amy Craig made that statement when she went after Heather Gunnin, and that's why the two are in the penalty box. That's why we're skating 4-on-4. Now Karen Magnussen in the rotation drops back for the Enforcers to try and block out Sunderman. Sunderman uses those long, lanky, deceptive strides for surprising speed. But right now Karen Magnussen doing a good job of blocking her out. Magnussen to be one of the dirtiest players. Tried for a headlock, realized she could get called for an illegal block, and she goes against it. And now this cartwheel by Stacey Blitsch puts down Karen Magnussen and allows Heather Sunderman to pick up a point, and Stacey Blitsch does the same, takes out Linda Leisure. 1 point for Heather Sunderman and the California Quakes, and we're all tied up in this Founders Cup Championship, and you see Stacey Blitsch and Karen Magnussen going at it toe-to-toe.
And Sean Corbin, I tell you, he showed up early this weekend. He knows that these women, the Sisters of Suffering in the Bod Squad, he told me he worked out a little extra this week to get ready for this Founders Cup.
We're dead even, and we're coming right back. It's the New York Enforcers 4, the California Quakes 4. In the first period for the New York, Heather Gunnin scoring all 4 points. For California, very different scoring. 3 different jammers on the track put up points, but this is what we've been waiting for. Atkinson, D'Amato on the track together.
Well, Ken, so far we've decided nothing. It's 4-4. It's even up. But neither one of these teams got to where they are by backing down to any challenge. Speaking of challenge, 2 of the biggest, baddest, meanest, and best players in the World Skating League are coming up in our second period.
In fact, speaking of one of those 2 players, Sean Atkinson is standing by with Danny Wolf.
Sean, a lot of the experts are saying the only way the Quakes can win is for you to unleash the speedy, agile men jammers against a slower, bigger Enforcer man.
No, let me tell you, I'm going in Mark D'Amato's backyard. Pound for pound, we are a better team, and we're going to do punch for punch, block for block. We're going to kick some butt.
Good luck, Sean.
Thank you.
Sean Atkinson starting as a blocker for the Quakes, along with Rusty Montgomery and Chad Vaughan. Gary Lockamy and Mark James are the Quake jammers. For the New York Enforcers, jamming Dan Gavagni and Fred Eichhorn. The blockers, Tim Washington, Brian Gamble, and of course, Mark D'Amato. And right off from the racehorse start, Dan Gavagni breaks on in the lead, but right with him, stride for stride, is number 20 for the California Quakes, Gary Lockamy out of Daytona, Florida. So it's Lockamy and Gavagni back in the pack. Chad Vaughan doing a good job of blocking out the other Enforcer jammer, and now Gavagni puts down Gary Lockamy. So it's all up to Dan Gavagni to try and break this 4-4 tie in this Founders Cup Championship. A little different rotation on the first jam by the Quakes as they send Rusty Montgomery back to block out Dan Gavagni. Perhaps they're feeling that Montgomery is a little bit more agile than Sean Atkinson going up against a very quick Dan Gavagni. At any rate, it's working very well right now. Rusty Montgomery doing a good job of blocking out Gavagni as we are coming rapidly up on 15 seconds. Now Montgomery setting him up. Here's Atkinson, the skyscraper, and that was the plan. That's the rotation. 1. Montgomery dropped back. Atkinson stayed, hawking the front of the pack.
Well, Rusty Montgomery, one of those guys we didn't talk about much earlier in the year, in the middle of the season when the Quakes had some unity problems, Rusty Montgomery really stepped up. He's come to play here today, Ken. Great play by Rusty Montgomery as Mark D'Amato. They were talking before the game. Now they're getting into it over here on the sideline, Ken.
Enforcers, and they've got a man advantage because Sean Atkinson is back in his customary position, receiving a 1-jam penalty for interference, and now it's John the Skull Morrissey battling his fellow number 13. This is Eric Slopey for the Quakes, and they go at it, and down goes Morrissey. Eric Slopey, a golden opportunity. It was Eichhorn down and Morrissey down, and there you see Slopey, hard putting coming up on the white pony.
Ron, I question that, Ken. This is the Founders Cup for all the marbles. I know he likes to show to the crowd, play to the home team, but he's got to concentrate on scoring here.
Well, one thing about Slopey, he feeds off the crowd. He knows that white pony gets the crowd into it, and it gives him a little more enthusiasm. Big Tim Washington now, along with Brian Gamble, back to block out Eric Slopey, and now Mark sets up Slopey for the eliminator. Put together there, you see the teamwork of Gamble, Washington, and Mark D'Amato. Sean Atkinson now going right after Mark D'Amato. Atkinson very smart, turning away from D'Amato. The last thing Atkinson needs is to go back into the penalty box. So finally, heads up thinking, and now Atkinson gives an added shove. He felt Tim Washington was sneaking up behind him.
And Eric Slopey, we talked about him feeding off the home team crowd. Well, right now, these New York Enforcers, led by a good shot at Tim Washington right there, all 400,000 pounds of him, are setting a precedent here with physical play, Ken. And you're absolutely right. Sean Atkinson may be taking the bait right now.
We're underway. It's still 5-5. Now Mark James, the lead jammer right now for the California Quakes, and J.R. Widener coming out as you see Eric Slopey trying to recover from that eliminator. The trainer working on his back, and it's J.R. Widener that breaks out along with Mark James, and along with the trailing jammer right now is Gary Lockamy, who takes a whip from Chad Vaughan, and down goes one of the California Quakes, Mark James. J.R. Widener has certainly got his strength back. Remember, Widener came off that ACL, a deliberate injury put to him by the hands of Richard Brown, and it's Widener and Gary Lockamy as they come around. Widener now closing. Mark D'Amato dropping back in the rotation, says something to his jammer. Now he turns his attention on Lockamy. The Bell Gallo sends Lockamy out over the railing. Atkinson does the same to J.R. Widener. Atkinson and D'Amato now. Atkinson says the same, and now Atkinson grabbed by D'Amato, and Tim Washington set him up for the King Kong. Normally, and now Washington goes up and tries just a forearm, setting him up. Looked like for power driver. D'Amato adds insult to injury. Now Brian Gamble gets in. You can see they're targeting Sean Atkinson. Finally, the referees get away from them. Sean Atkinson sprawled on the track.
A lot of times, though, Ken, you got to give Sean Atkinson credit. He's a tough cookie, and he may be trying to bulk up those penalties. As Sean Corbin is over here with the Enforcer men, I think he's right now doling out some of those penalties. But you have to take your hat off to the physical play of Sean Atkinson. And right now we're going to try to assess what Sean Corbin is doing with these Enforcer men. It got really ugly on that last jam, Ken.
We're underway. Mark D'Amato in the penalty box, a 1-jam penalty. And now the California Quakes with the opportunity to break this 5-5 tie. You see reaching back Chad Vaughan giving the big whip to his jammer Anthony Santiago as they come around. Also out is Eric Slopey, and now finally Fred Eichhorn gets out. They try to set up a double block, realize they didn't have it. And again, Eichhorn tries to break it up, sends one of the jammers down Slopey, and he sends Anthony Santiago right into the infield. Santiago did a great job of keeping his balance and getting right back out on the track. Now Eichhorn taking a page again, sends Santiago into the rail, and it's all Eichhorn as we come up on 20 seconds. Montgomery in the rotation now for the California Quakes has dropped back to try and block out number 12 for the Enforcers. That's Fred Eichhorn out of the Bronx at 5'10", 170. Montgomery doing a good job of concentrating all his efforts on Eichhorn. Some razzle-dazzle in the rest of the pack. Now Montgomery is setting him up. The Texas Bulldog by Rusty Montgomery, and that takes Eichhorn right down as Eichhorn tastes the track. A 1-jam penalty on Rusty Montgomery call because he hooked the arm, which is illegal according to World Skating League rules. Referee Sean Corbin also awards the Enforcers 1 point because he felt the illegal box prevented them from scoring. So 6-5, and now this time it's the New York Enforcers with a one-man advantage, and breaking out very quickly is John the Skull Morrissey. Sean Atkinson at the front of the pack trying to prevent J.R. Widener from getting out. Now Gary Lockamy comes out as they fly around the track. Hawk, this has been about as physical a game as we could have imagined.
Well, these New York Enforcers, they like to keep the score low, they like to keep it physical, but what I've seen they're doing here, Ken, it's a pattern. They go a jam where they get physical and start a fist fight, then they suddenly score points. It's unbelievable. Great job of the Enforcers as the jam's called off.
A very low-scoring first half as time runs out. The New York Enforcers lead this Founders Cup Championship 6-5. And again, Morrissey suffering the brunt of the attack by Sean Atkinson.
That's the back attack, Ken.
And now it's all broken loose. Now Atkinson continues to go after Mark D'Amato. This is Atkinson and D'Amato. D'Amato said he wants to eliminate Atkinson. Atkinson in an interview with Danny Wolf said, forget speed, he's going to take this right to D'Amato as both the respective captains try and make a statement. It is 6-5 at the end of an extremely physical first half. The Enforcers in front. We'll be back. It's the New York Enforcers 6 and California Quakes 5. Welcome back, everyone, to Roller Jam Arena. We're at halftime of this Founders Cup Championship game. I'm Ken Resnick along with Lee Rehereman and roller derby legend Buddy Atkinson Jr. Buddy, your thoughts on the first half?
Well, I'll tell you what, there is no white flags out there. Everybody is hitting. This is incredible. I mean, the excitement, the energy out there. We're looking for a winner, and it's going to happen.
Hawk, in that first half, in the second period, we only had 3 points scored, but every jammer almost paid for the point with their lives.
Absolutely, Ken. And usually it's just at this point in the game when we talk about the physical punishment paying off later in the game because guys get intimidated, they get hurt, they get bruised, they get battered. Not today. We see a skyscraper to Gavagni. We see an eliminator by Mark D'Amato on Slopey. Little celebration. Rusty Montgomery gives him the rusty nail. Doesn't matter, Ken. No intimidation today. It's for all the marbles these guys are laying it on the line, as Buddy Atkinson said, because if they lose, they don't have to heal up for anything.
Well, there is no question that second period as physical as you would ever see, and certainly the physical heart and soul of the New York Enforcers is Mark D'Amato and Tim Washington there with Danny Wolf.
All right, Tim, you guys brought out the full arsenal already in this game. You've already done a pseudo King Kong, a power bomb. This guy D'Amato's already done the eliminator. Was
That's
that
right, Wolf? Call up the Pentagon, baby, because we're bringing everything out tonight. We're gonna dominate and destroy these guys. What's wrong with you?
Spit in my face.
I'll do whatever I want to do to you.
And D'Amato, let me ask you, it's 6-5, the Enforcers right now with the lead. It's low scoring. That's usually a good sign for your team.
You are a genius, Wolf. You figured that out all on your own.
Thank you.
The Quakes are fools. They've fallen right into my plan. We're keeping the score low. We're playing a defensive game. That's where we're best.
Thanks, Mark, and I wish you a lot of luck in the second half.
Shut up, you freak.
Now, the first half scoring of the two teams couldn't be any different. For California, 4 different jammers have scored. For the New York Enforcers, Heather Gunnin has 4 of the 6 points. But, Buddy, in that first half, Heather Gunnin's 4 points came on a play that looked to be 4 points for the Quakes, an 8-point swing, the story of the entire first half.
This was exciting. I'm telling you something. This gal was awake, knowing what she was going to do, stole the play. Now, watch this. Amy gives a signal to Stacey Malibu. We got to move up here. It's close to the front. They lock up the pack. They're starting to lock up the pack. Amy's digging in, starting to move out here. She thinks she's going to be able to outrun the gun. Nobody outruns the gun. And watch what happens. Here's the stop right here with Stacey. We got Brookhouse pulling up in the rear. Now we got a full lift coming in here. Now, this is the nasty. That drive, that hit of Gun, the gun, knocking Amy Craig into that rail and swooping in here and getting those points. That's big time. That's staying awake, and that's going to make the difference in this game.
It could well be a big 8-point swing for the New York Enforcers. We'll be back with what should be an unbelievable second half right after this. You can see the crowd on their feet here at Roller Jam Arena. We've got 2 halves, 2 quarters, I should say, to play in this Founders Cup Championship. 6-5 Enforcers. A great different strategy right now as we start the second half. The Enforcers going with physical strength on the jams. Linda Leisure and Bo Bowman. The Quakes counting with their speedsters. Amy Craig and Heather Sunderman out of Rockford, Illinois. And right now it's Sunderman in the lead. Amy Craig in trailing. And now Leisure moves on in the lead by virtue of that elbow. And into the rail goes Bo Bowman as Amy Craig, not only speed, but showing a little physical play that we haven't seen, as is Heather Sunderman as she drops Linda Leisure. A great opportunity now for California to get back in the lead in this Seesaw Founders Cup Championship. As Sunderman and Craig close, Stacey Blitsch drops back in the rotation. Talking strategy with Sunderman. You see the double block being set up by Karen Magnussen and Heather Gunnin, who uncharacteristically is out as a blocker. And they both go right by the two New York Enforcers at 4 points as Sunderman and Amy Craig each put 2 more points in their respective statistical columns, and they put a total of 4 on the board.
What a great job by the Quakes, Ken, to get this second half started off right. It's been an enforcer tempo game, low scoring, physical, not a lot of speed out there, and they come out in the second half and said, you know what, we're going to make it a Quake game. We're going to get out early, show our speed, and score some points, darn it.
I think it's very obvious, Hawk, the New York Enforcer women really miss Chellie Rossell. They keep trying different combinations to see what'll work. Now they go with Bowman and Heather Gunnin, but very quickly breaking out of Cindy Zimmerman and Jaime Conemac, and the Enforcer women just can't seem to get anything going. Finally, Heather Gunnin breaks out, trying to use that great speed of hers to catch up, but it's tough when you've got 2 jammers from the opposition ahead of you. Now all 3 go high on the track. Gunnin is able to get right by using the inside. That's a tremendous speed skating ability, knowing the track that Heather Gunnin possesses. Karen Magnussen now drops back in the rotation as she puts down Stacey Blitsch. Gunnin goes by, puts a point on the board, and now Magnussen sends Faith Urban out over the railing. And now Heather Gunnin, if she was smart, could cut this jam off, and that's what she does, preventing any scoring. Heads up play by Heather Gunnin. She certainly's got her head into this one as she puts 3 points on the board.
Well, Heather Gunnin, we talk about the inconsistency of Heather Gunnin, whether it's because of injury or because sometimes she has lack of judgment. She scored 13 points in this tournament, Ken, and great players have to play in big games. She's doing that right now.
We're all tied up at 9 apiece as we are coming up on the 4-minute mark in this third period of the Leo Seltzer Founders Cup Championship. You know, uncharacteristically this week I had the opportunity to catch Mark D'Amato in a really reflective mood, and he admitted, he said, you know, I'm the only one on the track that skated in the old Derby. I've been in Founders Cup. I really want this trophy, as Karen Magnussen is doing her part to bring it to the Enforcers as she puts down Heather Sunderman. Magnussen, one of the Sisters of Suffering that has to step up in the absence of Chellie Rossell. And now she comes around in this 9-9 tie. Stacey Blitsch drops back in the rotation, as does the Brookhouse Brooke Sunderman. The elbow from Blitsch drops Magnussen. Stacey Blitsch, the bigger of the 2 gals, and at this point very physical in play, trying to block out and doing a good job as we're under 10 seconds. Now she shoves Sunderman ahead, concentrating on Magnussen. Drops Magnussen, and that'll do it. A great job of blocking out. Stacey Blitsch very pleased with herself, preventing any scoring. Great block out by Stacey Blitsch.
And you see Karen Magnussen showed Stacey Blitsch what she thought of her, a little pat on her rear end. That was kind of her version of a high sign to Stacey Blitsch. But you're right, Ken. Karen Magnussen has been called upon with the absence of Chellie Rossell to jam much more than usual.
And now the Quakes come back. They use Jaime Conemac, and they turn to their speedster, Amy Craig, who got caught at the very back of the pack. Jannet gives the big wick to Linda Leisure, who breaks free. Stacey Blitsch tried to slow her up, and Magnussen and Linda Leisure had just a little bit too much speed. Jannet Abraham doing a great job, and Amy Craig now drops underneath. Stacey Blitsch gives Amy Craig an added shove to pick up some speed, but it's all Linda Leisure as they come around.
And I've got a question. Why the Enforcers aren't using Heather Gunnin? She had a great jam. Amy Craig is doing great. You see that speed right there. Linda Leisure, no match for the speed of Amy Craig. Heather Gunnin would be, Ken, and they're not using her.
And now Amy Craig closes on the pack. Karen Magnussen drops back in the rotation to block out Craig. The big elbow almost takes her head off. And now Craig sees Linda Leisure coming up. She puts down Leisure to prevent her from scoring, although she may have passed Stacey Blitsch, who was all tangled up with the Brookhouse Brooke Sunderman. And now the big whip from Jaime Conemac spins, springs Amy Craig free as she passes, and Amy Craig picks up 4 points for the California Quakes. And it's just as I thought. The Enforcers did get the 1 point as they went by Stacey Blitsch, and now it's Faith Urban who feels the brunt of the play for Karen Magnussen. As you can see, tempers are beginning to get a little short here, Hawk. The pressure's on.
Well, and Faith Urban is no match physically, emotionally, and downright ornery for Karen Magnussen, and you saw the result of that. Karen Magnussen had her way with Faith Urban right there, and the result was Faith Urban on her back. She got up, and I don't even know if she's in this building, Ken. And Ken, our statisticians are telling me Amy Criag has 14 points for the tournament, 7 in the semifinal and 7 here today. She is now the leading scorer here at the Founders Cup tournament.
Amy Criag has really stepped up. That's exactly what the Quakes need. The one way to counteract the physical play of the New York Enforcers. They can't hit you if they can't catch you. And now it's Heather Sunderman again out in front, being pursued now by Eydie Bowman, who finally breaks away. Faith Irvin doing a good job of keeping Heather Gunnin bottled up on the top of the track, not letting her get out.
And the loss of Chellie Rossell is really evident here, Ken, with the women. They have no jammers that are making any combative effort to challenge the Quakes. Again, this is why I question why Heather Gunnin isn't being sent out as a break. But here we go with the points by the California Quakes, Ken.
And a good job as the entire pack gets tangled up and they all go down. We'll have to wait for the scoring. It's 4 apiece, so it ended up all men's as they each counteracted one another. As this period is going to come to an end, it'll be now all up to the men as they will be settling who will take away the Leo Seltzer Founders Cup trophy. It's the California Quakes 17, the New York Enforcers 14 in this Founders Cup championship. And boy, in that third period, Amy Criag came out of the chute with 2 points. Heather Gunnin answered with 3 points. Amy Criag came back with 4 more points to give her team a 3-point lead. But in this championship game, 3 points doesn't mean a whole lot, and now it's up to the men.
Well, and Ken, all that's water under the bridge, and how fitting does it come down to what we talked about at the outset, the battle between Sean Atkinson and Mark D'Amato.
A big elbow slows both of the Quake jammers now. Washington gets the whip from number 13. Morrissey at 13. Down goes Eric Slopey. Tim Washington is cleaning house by himself. Anthony Santiago now coming up in the big guy. Santiago slid down without any help. He may have thought twice about not even want to tangle with big Tim Washington. Washington lumbering around. I don't know if he can catch up to the pack. Oh, Rusty Montgomery does a spin around in the rotation. He's Washington.
He's making fun of Eric Slopey's white pony. It's the black stallion they're saying.
And Rusty Montgomery now with the elbow sends Washington into the rail. 15 seconds left. And now Montgomery goes to the knee, trying to set up. Oh, the bench warmer from Sean Atkinson. That's one way. How do you counteract Tim Washington? You take a bench and slam it into him head first. He tried again, but thankfully, referee Sean Corbin got in the way. Now Mark D'Amato's got the bench. The referee's keeping a sharp eye. Atkinson up on the railing, goes down, comes off the top railing onto Washington. Now D'Amato goes after him. Oh, Lord, it's all broken loose.
I don't know what the Ack attack is doing here, Ken. He is in danger of getting himself ejected late in a very close game. They've got a very slim lead. He's running the risk of doing something that is going to not just get him a penalty, but get him tossed out of here, and they can ill afford these California Quakes to try to finish up this game without Sean Atkinson.
I suppose in Atkinson's mind, he felt it would be a trade-off, even if he gets ejected, if he takes Tim Washington out of the game. But referee Sean Corbin did not eject him, but he did give Atkinson a 2-jam penalty. And now the Enforcers, remember, on the women's side, already without Chellie Rossell, very concerned about the health of Tim Washington.
And Tim Washington on this jam went from riches to rags, Ken. You see him celebrating a little bit, making fun of Slopey, but at the end, you see him to rags. He takes the bench from Sean Atkinson, and Tim Washington really might be hurt for the rest of this game.
The referees get play restarted, and it's about a fair trade-out. The Enforcers have a one-man advantage. Sean Atkinson with a 2-jam penalty, but the Enforcers skating without the services of big Tim Washington. And now on front jamming, it's number 11, J.R. Widener, and number 13, the Skull Morrissey, setting up the double block, but a great job by Garrett Lockamy of breaking through the double block.
Well, what happened there, Lockamy snuck up on the 2 Enforcers, Widener and Eichhorn, or excuse me, I believe it was Morrissey and Eichhorn. They were trying to confer for some strategy. Lockamy came up, caught him asleep, broke up the block, and now he's out all alone, Ken.
And now Brian Gamble calling up Gary Lockamy. Gamble trying to pick up the slack for the lack of Tim Washington's physical play. He's setting up Lockamy for the boot, and there it is, delivered by Enforcer Captain Mark D'Amato. D'Amato obviously thought by the actions of Sean Atkinson would turn around his fair play, and it's
It's 1 point for the Quakes, and now Brian Gamble and D'Amato go back to add further damage to the prone Gary Lockamy.
And of course, we all know that Mark D'Amato wears that quad skate. He's one of the only people in the World Skating League who does so. You see those 4 wheels right there, and they may not be the fastest way to travel around this track, but as a weapon, they are very potent. And Gary Lockamy knows that as he's got a 4-wheel mark right in the middle of his forehead, kid.
And we are skating 4-on-4 now. Sean Atkinson serving the second of his 2-jam penalty, and Mark D'Amato called for a 1-jam penalty for his handiwork following the execution of his boot. But the good news for the New York Enforcers, Tim Washington has cleared out the cobwebs, and he is back on the track. And now Atkinson picks up a bench and tries to get D'Amato in the penalty box. We've got the speedsters for the Quakes, the Young Turks, Slopey and Santiago, but they both go down at the hands of Brian Gamble.
And Brian Gamble did something similar to the Quakes that Gary Lockamy did to the Enforcers 2 jams ago, Ken. These guys are all playing very heads-up skating here at the Founders Cup.
And now Tim Washington drops back along with Rusty Montgomery as Brian Gamble closes on the pack. Gamble, very uncharacteristically, is not used to jamming, and Rusty Montgomery now doing a good job of blocking him out as we close under 10 seconds. Tim Washington drops back to try and take care of Rusty Montgomery, does exactly that, and now Montgomery goes down, and Brian Gamble is able to go through and pick up more points yet. And this suddenly now is back to a 1-point game as we are closing in on the 2-minute mark of this 4th period of the Founders Cup Championship. The Quakes clinging to the lead. It is 18-17 California. We'll be back right after this. 2 minutes remaining in the Leo Seltzer Founders Cup Championship game, and it is anybody's game. The California Quakes 18, the New York Enforcers 17. The penalty boxes have been cleared. We are 5 aside, and it's going to come down. It should be Katie bar the door. And now a double whip coming up by the New York Enforcers, springing Fred Eichhorn free and breaking out for the California Quakes. It's number 20, Gary Lockamy. It's Eichhorn and Lockamy. The other 2 jammers, Gavagni and Mark James, tied up in the back of the pack, not even out, as Tim Washington and Rusty Montgomery doing a good job of blocking out at the front of the pack. It's all coming down on this jam. It is number 12, Eichhorn, 5'10", 170 out of the Bronx. As they come around, it's Lockamy out of Daytona Beach, 5'11", 180. And down they go, courtesy of Sean Atkinson. And again, we get 1 point for the New York Enforcers. It ties this one up, Hawk. It's anybody's matchup.
Well, you saw an unbelievable vertical move. It was an attempt at a Superman by Sean Atkinson to try to take out number 12, Fred Eichhorn. But I'll tell you what, he came close. I believe that was number 20, Gary Lockamy. He almost took his head off, Ken.
Remember, once the jam starts, it runs its final 60 seconds. And this is it. This is what it's all coming down to. On the line, the Leo Seltzer Memorial Cup, 18 apiece. And Captain Sean Atkinson versus Mark D'Amato, both wearing a jammer helmet. Atkinson has not scored in this game. I don't believe Mark D'Amato has scored either. They have targeted each other. It's all up to the respective captains. D'Amato has talked about how badly he wants this Founders Cup.
And this isn't just today, Ken. This is the whole season. This battle has been going on.
And now you see the strategy. The Quakes trying to lift the Enforcers. The Enforcers were having no part of it in the pack, and now they're closing. Brian Gamble in the rotation drops back. Washington. Atkinson slides underneath. Washington took out his own teammate, Mark D'Amato. 1 point for the California Quakes. They are the new Founders Cup Leo Seltzer champions. The California Quakes, look at them celebrate. Mark D'Amato, Tim Washington, still down on the track.
Atkinson's in tears, Ken. He can't believe it. Tim Washington's dead. And Mark D'Amato, he is just utterly disgusted. He's lost this Founders Cup. Not only did he lose it, but his ploy, his illegal move, he had Tim Washington bring out a bench. It cost his team the Founders Cup. They lose, Ken.
Sean, turn around. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. You guys won the Founders Cup. Sean, unbelievable. I know it's an emotional moment. You guys won the Founders Cup.
This is something my dad, my mother, they've all dreamed about. And to have this happen, it finally happened to an Atkinson and to the Quakes. It's just an unforgettable moment. I just can't explain it in words. I can't express myself right now.
Go celebrate, Sean.
There's Mrs. Atkinson. As I said, it Sean Atkinson talked about, he wanted this as badly for his mother and his father as he did for his teammates. You see Stacey Blitsch spraying champagne. The California Quakes as jubilant as you can imagine. On the other side, Mark D'Amato is beside himself. He wanted this as badly as Atkinson. He can't believe he doesn't have it. Buddy, you heard Sean. He wanted this one for you, my friend.
Yes,
Congratulations.
Yes. This was great. This was absolutely great.
The Founders Cup comes home to the Atkinson family. In fact, let's go trackside. Here's a presentation of the Leo Seltzer Founders Cup.
All right, they'll be celebrating from Hermosa Beach to Humboldt County. The Golden State did it. The California Quakes are the Founders Cup champions. Jerry Seltzer, come in here. The commissioner, Jerry Seltzer, you have a special presentation to make.
Sean, almost 30 years ago, when your grandfather was coach of the New York Chiefs and your father, Buddy Jr., skated for them, they won this very same trophy. But you're the first captain of a team in the World Skating League to win the Founders Cup trophy.
Okay, I want to tell you, first the MVPs of the Founders Cup, the women's team, Amy Criag, leading scorer. Tremendous effort by you, Amy.
Thank you very much. Did it all for my team, baby. All for my team.
And the MVP on the men's side, the man who scored the winning points, only scored 1 point, but how big was it? Sean, the architect, Atkinson, come in here and say a few words.
Thank you very much. Before I go anywhere, I want to say, Enforcers, you are a great team. I never could believe how hard it was to even get this victory. You guys are great. I really wanted Mark D'Amato, you're a great leader. Really, you're a great leader. This is a great, great honor for the Quakes, and I'm just humbled by the experience of working with all these great individuals.
Sean, really quickly, this team was in a lot of turmoil. This team was in a lot of turmoil during the season. You remained their team captain. There were a lot of breakups. You put them all back together again. This team really peaked at the right time.
What happened was there might have been ups and downs, but the team took me back. That's what happened. I didn't pull the team together. They pulled themselves together by taking me back and making me feel part of the group. Thank you again, and it was a great, great honor to work with all of you this year.
There they are. The California Quakes are the Founders Cup champions. Back to you, Hawk and Ken.
A very emotional scene, as well as it should be. Buddy, I've got to say, when the chips were down, your son's a chip off the old block. He's a pretty class act.
I'm really just pleased for him. And the whole team, he really pulled together, and it really was great.
You've got someone to be proud of.
Great.
Founders Cup championship, all we wanted, and then some.
Well, Sean Atkinson's a class act, and Buddy Atkinson Sr. is a class act, and I want to thank you and thank Buddy and thank everybody here. And this is what it's all about. You saw it out there on the track, and thank all you guys too.
For all of us at Roller Jam, Broadway Denny Wolf, Lee Rehereman, Buddy Atkinson Jr., we certainly want to thank you for tuning in. It was a great year for the World Skating League. I'm Ken Resnick. Goodbye, everybody.